Quinn, is there anything you can say about Donovan Mitchell that hasn't been said before?
I think the biggest thing you could say about Donovan is to talk about our team. And I think our guys have, they've said it, the strength of the team is the team. And, the things that Donovan did tonight, the team needed. And that's basically that's who he's been. He's been a team first guy. And sometimes the team needs a guy to take things on his shoulders. And, in that third quarter, obviously he was dynamic.
What was that possession where the Thunder got 4 or 5 offensive rebounds? What was that like, kind of experiencing that and watching that?
Well, I think we've talked about that as being one of the keys to the series. And really up until that, I thought tonight it was such a, both teams played with such intensity and were so competitive that you knew there was going to be times that you weren't able to secure a rebound. I didn't know that there would be that many, in a singular possession. It seemed like we were on defense for a long time. And, we've looked at that time in the game and talked about closing. And obviously we would have liked to get a rebound. I think the most significant thing about that is we kept our composure defensively and, didn't allow second chance points. So sometimes it's hard when you expend a lot of energy to get a stop and you get a stop, you get a miss, and you don't get the rebound. You got to do it again and do it again and do it again. It's like one of those things as a coach in practice, you make your team play defense 5 straight possessions and try to get them to not break, and our guys didn't break.
Dean Blevins, CBS, Oklahoma City. Quinn, you guys were bad or poor offensively there in the first half, and then the second half just phenomenal. Yeah. What did you do to help Donovan or whatever you did in your offensive system?
Well, when Ricky, Donovan's played some point guard this year where he's been kind of the lead ball handler, but it's usually been in short spurts. So when Ricky went out, there's just some hesitancy that's a function of losing your point guard, that early in the game. And we just wanted to really simplify the second half and try to play to our strengths. Felt like, obviously when you look out there, it's not hard to find out, the guy that can, create offense for your team. But I thought he did a really good job. He found Derek Favors a number of times on the roll. And, he was aggressive, but he wasn't just for a shot. He did attack the basket like crazy. And, then we were able to play off him. So, like I said, we wanted to simplify some of the things that we did and get him in a place mentally where he wasn't thinking too much about anything other than attacking.
Quinn, do you have any new information on Ricky going forward?
No, he strained his hamstring. I don't know if that's been out or what. He strained his hamstring, and they'll reevaluate him, I'm sure, tonight, tomorrow, and see where he is. But he's been. He would have played. If he could have played, he would have, but he just wasn't able.
Is this a re-aggravation of the injury that he kind of dealt with?
I'm not sure the details. Yeah, he's dealt with this, and he's done a good job, with our medical group, with Mike Elliott and his staff, in recovery. And I think just it's a tough series, and caught up with him a little bit, but hopefully it'll be all right eventually. We don't know a timeline.
Quinn, what do you know about this team now that you might not have known a couple months ago?
Well, it's interesting. I think other people are finding out what we've known. And Alec Burks is probably the best example of that tonight. A guy that, we've said that all year long, whether it's an injury or a game or foul trouble, we've had guys step up. And that's been what these guys are about. And Alec was the guy tonight that found himself in a situation that he probably didn't envision at the beginning, of shoot around today. But he's stayed ready for, it's easy for a coach to say, stay ready, be ready. You never know when your number is going to get called. That's like coach speak, and for players to actually be able to do that, to DNP and then play 3-on-3 the next day, to be on the treadmill running, to be doing all the circuit training to try to keep your body in shape and your wind. And so you saw tonight, as good an example as you can have of a guy that was able to do that. And we don't win that game without Alec. There's no question about it. So unbelievably proud of him, and I think he's a reflection tonight of what our group's been about the whole year. That when we've faced adversity, we've been able to keep our composure, and guys have believed in one another. I don't think there was a guy on the bench that was nervous about Alec being in the game. Guys had confidence in him, and he had confidence in himself. And to me, that's one of the best things about being a part of a group is, the group itself giving each individual player strength.
Quinn, Eric Horn, the Oklahoman. Quinn, throughout the series, you guys were able to create some mismatches, and I know Donovan's a great player one-on-one, and he's so great at creating his own shot. But how easy or difficult was it for you to create those mismatches in order to get guys in isolation?
It's funny. We looked at the numbers and points per possession, and Donovan's been good in those situations. At the same time, it's the way that we want to play. We don't want to. It's hard to just rely on that over the course of the game. With him, it just puts too much pressure on him. So, tonight, because of Ricky being out, the game called for more of that. And, our players did a good job of recognizing situations. As a coach, you can try to script things or run plays and do those things. And obviously, you do that the best you can to try to help your players. But I thought our guys tonight just had good instinct, too, on Donovan obviously being in a good place offensively. And then other guys, whether it be spacing or playing pick and roll, doing the things they needed to do to, try to create situations that were high percentage.
Quinn, how do you describe the challenge of getting ready to play Houston in 36 hours?
I think playing Houston is a challenge in and of itself. We'll take a deep breath, enjoy the win tonight, and tomorrow try to get together and start our prep. Our staff is prepared, and we won't be able to give all that to our team. And there's so much. They're such a unique team that I don't know how we have to compete is the main thing. And whatever the game planning and all those things, I think like I said, they're so good, and they've been the best team in the league all year. They beat us, and we know how good they are, and we'll just do what we can to get ready and get out there and try not to think about being fatigued or anything like that. I don't think there's time for that in the playoffs. So get healthy and try to get our minds right and compete and see where it goes.
Did you feel that Ricky going out created any sort of extra edge, like guys knew they couldn't let up and
it created extra minutes. We stretched some guys more than we have. I think both Joe and Donovan told me at halftime that they're ready to play 24 in the second half, and I think Joe did. Donovan might have, but he picked up some fouls. So I wouldn't say it's an edge when you lose your point guard, but I think there's a sense that this group was able to kind of rally around each other, and they knew that they had to pull together. In that sense, that's how you have to handle a situation like that. There's just no other way to do it, and our guys were able to do it.
Quinn, what was your plan on Paul George? He has 6 turnovers, 5 points, 2 of 16. You frustrated him. What'd you do?
Well, I think we've said this throughout the series that, he's such a terrific player that he adjusts to any adjustment that you make. I mean, I thought, him getting downhill and getting to the rim, the game before last really created problems for us. And, we wanted to do our best to just make guys take contested shots. Thought last game we gave up too many open shots, and we'd done a pretty good job throughout the series doing that. We knew he's so good. I mean, he's to me, he's just a pure player. I know he didn't have the kind of game that he has and has had in this series, and some of that's just, for us, you got to be a little lucky, and whether it means the guy's missing a shot or just try to make it hard on him. And we had a number of guys that I think were prepared mentally to try to guard him, where we felt like there's no one guy. We wanted that matchup to fall strictly to them. He's too good for that. So just tried to compete, and obviously nuances when you watch him and you see a guy have a big night and you say, hey, let's make that harder. Let's do this differently. So I think our guys were committed to the game plan, and we had a lot of guys that were on them and tried to do our best to make it hard.
Coach, Derek Favors had a team high plus minus. Can you just talk about...
You listen to plus minus? stats, right?
That's right.
Yeah, he played really good.
Well, I wanted to talk about maybe the role that he's accepted on this team and what it means both on and off the court. Yeah,
accepted kind of implies a lesser role. And I think in Derek's case, he's embraced whatever we've asked him to do. And there's been times where teams will go small and we may not finish with him. That wasn't the case, obviously, this series. And he's done whatever's asked of him. And his role is a pretty big role. Rudy, deservedly so, gets a lot of credit, defensively and what he does with our team. Donovan, obviously, as well. Derek's quietly, it's kind of his persona too. He's just there when you need him, and we need him. We've needed him all the time, and we really needed him in this series, and he stepped up big time. And you just a lot of respect for a player that, to your point, when their role fluctuates or it changes based on even within a game to game, all the things that he does for our team to really support other guys as well. And we're lucky to have him. He's a heck of a player and a better person. Okay.